be able to identify ma-sensors ari pachena pamota ireyi. Ma-sensors ari pachena pamota ireyi. As well as having identified them, should also be able to identify or explain the function of a particular sensor. Nokuti nyaya iri apa ndeyekuti pabasa pakaita sepanapa, you'll be called upon to remove a sensor or fit a sensor, test or to test a sensor on the motor vehicle, or to remove a sensor for testing of the motor vehicle. Saka nyaya iri apa ndeyekuti iwewe sa-electrician, you should be able to know the relative position of a particular sensor. It's the same for all motor vehicles. And the relative position yema-sensors yakada kungofanana pamota dzinenge dziri. Okay, looking at this Nissan type vehicle X-Trail, ma-sensors edu imwe iri pachena chena in this motor vehicle is the airflow sensor. And yeah, airflow sensor. This one we call it an airflow sensor. The airflow sensor, from our discussion, I think all of you remember very well. We say the airflow sensor measures the quantity of air or monitors the quantity of air which is flowing into the engine. Yatinoti air inlet tract ndiyo section ikutangira pana. Adiya. Ndinorangara tichitaura kuti air inlet tract what. This is the air inlet tract. Adiya. And this is the air filter. Ndo air filter iri. This is the airflow sensor. It monitors the quantity of air by mass flowing into the engine. You remember the airflow ratio? The ideal airflow ratio takati 14.7 kilograms to 1 kilogram of fuel. Saka e sensor do you monitor the quantity of air that is flowing in, the quantity of air that is coming in, so that the computer can closely match the incoming air to the quantity of fuel to be supplied at the engine. No function here, this airflow sensor. The relative position of the sensor is always on the air inlet tract after the air filter. After the air filter housing for paita airflow sensor. Saka hapana kumwe kwatinotomboitsvaka kunze kwe on the air inlet tract. That is where it is positioned strategically in order to measure the air inflow, the mass of the incoming air. And all right. Of course, this sensor is tested on the motor vehicle, and we classify it as a passive sensor because it requires a reference voltage of about 5 volts. Depending on the engine speed, kana wakareva no produce a high output, kana engine ichi idle no produce a low output. The output produced by this sensor varies between 0 and 5 volts. So identify the output at the sensor, connect the voltmeter, increase engine speed, and take note of the voltage readings at low engine speed and at high engine speed. Ukareva, it's close to 5 volts. Idling speed somewhere around 1 or 2 volts. No typical output ye sensor pakuri testing. Where testing is concerned, we will revisit that. Can I discuss in detail? Sensor number 2 is the temperature sensor, which is this one. That's the temperature sensor. Anyway, the common position of temperature sensor, relative position of temperature sensor, they cooling system. You remember all our diagram paper. This is embedded in the cooling system my water jackets. So when you are looking for a temperature sensor, always check the thermostat housing, or it's somewhere around the thermostat per head up. Then the hose ready it is hose hot water from the thermostat to the radiator. Right where it starts per thermostat up, that is around the area where you find the temperature sensor. Do produce any partino on a temperature sensor pane hose. The temperature sensor monitors engine temperature. I think you are familiar with the fact that engine temperature determines the fuel economy. When the engine is cold, it consumes more fuel than the amount that it consumes when hot for the same power output. And power output is the same, but if the engine temperature is low, we use more fuel. In engine temperature high, we use relatively less. So for fuel injection purposes, we normally have an air temperature sensor which communicates with the computer. Then the computer calculates the appropriate quantity of fuel to be consumed given the temperature. Testing this on a motor vehicle is simple. Explain test resistance when the engine is cold. The cold resistance and hot resistance, there's a difference. When the engine is cold, probably say for 20 degrees Celsius, we expect a resistance of about how much? 1,500 ohms. Then when the engine is hot, around about 200 ohms. Saka chedu susungouya neometer yedu apa totesta resistance per meter iyi pa sensor redu iri nemeter yedu totesta resistance pa sensor redu engine iri cold torana engine yedu, run it at fast idle until it is hot, then we test resistance again, then we compare the values. Values that's all. So if a sensor is stuck on the same value, cold or hot, you will see my symptoms. My symptoms for poor performance in engine, either when cold or when hot. I think we said, can I really stuck per cold? System inongoramba supply fuel yakawanda. Saka high fuel consumption and high levels of emissions. As can I really start per hot, it becomes hard to start because you know going to supply my lean mixtures. Wait a minute, I will give you the opportunity to ask questions. So that's the temperature sensor. Then on this motor vehicle, we don't have the throttle position sensor. It's built into a. Rather, we do have that. The signal is there, but this one is a drive-by-wire system where we have a throttle actuator. Saka kuseri kune cables and supply power to a throttle actuator, which actually responds to a computer signal. That signal is an outcome of the analysis movement pedal by the pedal position sensor. So we have a pedal position sensor which then supplies a computer with a signal. Then the computer controls the throttle using a throttle actuator which is built into this unit, this throttle assembly. Then the same throttle actuator would send a signal back to the computer to indicate the position of the throttle valve. So in this case, we don't have a throttle position sensor as is the case that we discussed the other time. Accelerator cable yedu kuseri kunoka throttle position sensor kupi kune rimwe side, but we don't have such an arrangement here because this one is a drive-by-wire system where we have a single unit, a throttle actuator, the throttle position sensor built into the throttle assembly. So this is a slightly different situation. Let's not be surprised, but no sangana motor. You need to put a throttle position sensor. Inenge irichi a drive-by-wire system in a throttle actuator, controller, throttle movement. Yes, you say, Bo, you say. So well, this is the arrangement that we have. But ordinarily, throttle position sensors are found on the throttle assembly. Just on the throttle, on the inlet tract, throttle assembly, and a throttle position sensor. And on those conventional motor vehicles,
no, might have the throttle butterfly shaft in the
all that is built in there. Oh, throttle butterfly shaft, the shaft which carries the throttle valve. The shaft you need to carry the throttle valve. You can spin a shaft to your throttle valve. You didn't get you vura kana kuva. But panapa this is what we gates. Magetsi anokontroliwa necomputer. Iwewe driver ukatsika uko pedal rako rine sensor naika roendesa signal kucomputer. Computer yo evaluator, then yo controller throttle opening zvinoenderana nekamutsikire kawakaita. Saka we call this the drive by wire system. And saka we don't have a throttle position sensor because computer yatogara iri kuziva zviri kuitika. So it eliminates the throttle position sensor. And then there are some sensors that are not very much visible here. But more sensors are still pachena. Okay, just say we obviously have a cam sensor. We must have a cam sensor here. Cam sensor inenge iri pa head pedu pa cam shaft. Monitor movement ye cam shaft in order for us to know the operation yema valves. Then we have a crank sensor. The crank sensor, we normally find it in the timing cover down under next to the crankshaft. To the crankshaft pulley. And the crank sensor monitors movement of the crankshaft in order to determine, spark timing and commencement of injection. Pakubatika.
Yeah.
All right. Just a moment. I'll be back in a moment. But otherwise tangoti ngovhura tinyatsoona masystem acho kusvika kupedzisira kunoko. Saka this is the intake manifold. That's the intake manifold. Our fuel rail iri mukati somewhere inotangira panapa. Saka fuel rail yedu ndiyo yakatakura ma-injectors.
Uzobudisa foni yako mumavideos edu.
Fuel rail ndiyo yakatakura ma-injectors. So rail inotangira panapa iri apa.
Nige azinokuita cross.
Yaona kanifoni.
Chaitomborana manje. Then what's this?
This for oil. Panoiswa oil.
And
Engine oil.
okay.
Panoiswa oil.
Put your oil.
That one is the expansion tank.
Expansion.
Pandapesira pandazonotora span tatitaura nezvemamwe masensors that are hidden. Ma-crank sensors, crank sensor ne-cam sensor. Saka the ordinary location ye-cam sensor is per head next to the cam shaft. The ordinary location of a crank sensor is
Crank sensor.
cam sensor.
Crank sensor.
Do you know
achiri kudzidza mbono
kumusoro kunowanikwa cam sensor kwete crank
Osaka iri cam sensor.
nderipiro
Yombane. Unaona chikosuru. Iri raba.
nesikoyo pegerera bona
that one is coil packing.
Mfano wacho hiyo.
Tineti singaone naye. Padonza wanongoita kudaizo.
Wanangani.
Ndoso chakaita kachizi.
Hanzi ningera
cool down the interior inokufriza munotorana off futi gaska rinoita kuti mukati umo mutonhoremo. No, isusu zvoda hatite zvekurifila ma-aircon, but there are a few things like compressor yacho. The compressor is engine driven. Compressor ye-aircon iri engine driven. Iri pazasi pe-alternator. Inodrivwa ne-engine. Saka ine tuntu wemagetsi, ine clutch, especially the clutch. The magnetic clutch engage kuti paunoswitcha aircon paya kuti itange kudrive refrigerant. Saka then pane mafan mafan e-aircon ari panapa. Pane mafan e-aircon aya. Saka ndo zvinhu zvatinongonyanyosevhisa zviri pa-aircon. Otherwise beyond that iri ibasa ra-refrigeration technician rekuita regassing, bleeding the system of air, like repairing pipes through welding techniques ava vanoshandisa aluminium welding and others. Iri rinenge rabasa ra-refrigeration technician. So isusu chedu ndechekuona kuti aircon kana isingachashandika, what is it? Is it an electrical issue or the issue is related to the to the aircon itself? Then you call the specialist to fix the problem. zvekuzoita hands on yeaircon manje harisi basa redu, unogona kuuraya zvakawanda. Unotsvaka vana refrigeration technician votiitira basa iroro, then they fix the problem. Ndokubasa kwavo, ndozvavari kutoita izvi. Maaircon vanogadzira to get the because aircon inongova neprinciple yerefrigerator. It's a refrigeration system. Extract heat from inside, yoita dissipate to the outside, then mukati momotonhorera. Alright, that's fine. Then engine.
Tonhorera.